everybody, it's Romania Black. So, you may be wondering why Whiteboard-kun is already out and ready to go, but I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't happy with my discussion in episode 6. And it's not because it wasn't long enough. God, it was an hour and a half. That's long enough. But I just felt like it is one of those things where I feel like just watching episode 6, The Warhammer Titan, one time, it wasn't enough to make a good discussion. And so I felt like the last episode I was so flabbergasted and my jaw was on the floor and I was struggling with these conflicting emotions of, well, the Survey Corps is here, but we've come to love Marley. What do we do with all of this? Or we've come to love the Eldians and Marley, not necessarily Marley. And so I was very conflicted. So I had to go back. And then this morning I woke up and I rewatched episodes 4, 5, and 6 in a row. I was like, I'm going to rewatch these episodes. And before starting, and I was going to wait till tonight, but I'm like, no. Episode 5 has just come out on Patreon. Episode 3 has just come out on YouTube. I'm like, I can't wait. I need to just watch this because it's been so hard. I've honestly spent a couple days. I've been trying to watch ahead to get ahead of spoilers. And I've been trying to watch ahead, and I had to take like 5 days off after episode 6 because I'm like, my brain just needs to process. Watching 2 episodes back to back, it does that, right? And I'm probably gonna end up doing the same thing with episodes 7 and 8. So I know I'm a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm just being masochistic to myself. But I have a ton of notes, but I'm only going to talk about a couple of the notes before the intro, before we start. I'm going to save most of these for afterwards, because otherwise it's going to be a 30-minute intro. But I do want to talk about this board, because I was like, consider this a mini recap. I get why some of you all were suggesting that I do a recap after episode 8. I'm not going to. I've decided I'm going to wait till episode 16. I'm going to wait and do all of part 1 together. It'll probably be 5 hours. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I'm not going to do a recap after episode 8. I'm going to wait till episode 16. I've decided that. I want to wait and do all of part 1 together. But consider this a mini recap of where we are now, because I was trying to break all this down, right? And I've got some notes. And I have some notes here that I'm going to bring up as we go through this real quick. So this is going to be a little bit long of an intro. I'm probably going to put like a little timestamp in the description to be like when the actual reaction starts. But in case if you're wondering where my headspace is going into this episode, here we go. So I went back and rewatched episodes 4, 5, and 6 because I like torturing myself. And I have some notes here that will go along with this and tie back in. So Christopher Peterson, Roy Reviewer, CW, Be Happy. You guys all gave me some interesting comments, and I'll probably tie back to these and say yes and address them here. But this is not really related to the timeline here, but I've noticed something rewatching these episodes. So way back in season 2, we talked about Ymir and freckled Ymir, not Ymir Fritz, freckled Ymir, and Historia's could-be wife. And so Ymir had been chosen by the people of, we assume, Marley at the time to be used as a figure representing the founding Titan. She had been used by the people of the Eldians of Marley, or we think so. That still is not 100% clear. Don't spoil me. We may find out later, but that's basically it. Then we cut to Grisha being used technically by Grice to be part of the Restorationists. Grice recruited Grisha. If Grice hadn't gone to Grisha to begin with, none of this would have happened, right? Grisha would have lived on his life and probably not questioned anything. But Grice was the catalyst for that, right? Which is ironic because then you cut to Falco and Eren. But Grice recruited Grisha to be part of the Restorationists and the cause for freedom, supposedly. Then Grisha tried to do the same thing. Zeke is kind of the weird factor in all of this, right? Zeke is the weird factor because Grisha tried to use Zeke for the Restorationist cause. It didn't work. Zeke turned them in. But then Marley technically ends up using Zeke. But I'm guessing Zeke also, to keep his grandparents safe, ended up being used by Marley. So Zeke is a weird condition. I just put him up here on the board because it's technically being used for the cause, but not really. And then you have Eren, who used Falco to move forward with his agenda. So you have people with their agendas and involving these other people who seem like victims at first, but then end up, with Ymir, she took charge of her fate. Grisha took charge of his fate. Zeke has taken charge of his fate. And now the question is Falco going to take charge of his fate? That's the question, right? So I wanted to put that up there just kind of as where I'm thinking of with those characters at the time. But so we have our 3 major players in the last 3 episodes. We've had McGath, we've had Willie, we've had Eren. And then poor Reiner and Falco are just like, what do we do? And then you have this whole devil of all earth thing. So I want to make note of here. Christopher Peterson noted that Willie left Marley basically for his talking about how Marley was left to their own devices and the Tybers kind of sat back and didn't do much. And that they didn't change anything. But now Willie's character, I've had Willie's character wrong this whole time, I think, going back and rewatching it. I thought Willie was like the opposite of Uri or was like Rod Reese. But no, he's not like Uri. He's the opposite of Rod Reese. He's what Rod Reese originally wanted to become. That's the crazy thing. So we have Willie's character. Willie's character, I guess we'll start with him. He knew he was going to die going into this. He knew he was going to die. He knew that there's a planned attack. Something had come up and there's a planned attack. This whole plan of them announcing, this is where Zeke comes in. And it's weird because I'm hoping this episode we get some context about Zeke's interactions and all this, because Zeke, his character has been weird the last couple of episodes and I can't put my finger on it. But Willie knew there had been, he's like, we're setting this up to be the prime place. If there's going to be an attack from the inside, this is going to be the place for it to happen. Like they anticipated it, almost like they had intel saying it was going to go down. And so he knew that he was going to die here. And that ties to the fact that he's like, I'm basically going to die a martyr. It's like I've been groomed my entire life to be buddies with every dignitary in the world and they all love me. So if I die, I'm going to die a martyr. And they're all going to be like, poor Willie and his tragedy. And it's like, it's all was planned. It was just all a big act. Like he knew it was going to go down, right? But he's kind of the opposite of Rod Reese. He held the wheel. The whole thing was that Rod back in season 3, he talked about how he wanted to enact change. He wanted the Founding Titan to not keep them within the walls anymore, but he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't grab a hold of the wheel. It was always outside of his grasp. So instead, he just went along with the status quo. Willie's like, no, I have the opportunity and my responsibility is to grab the wheel and run with it. And I can't let go of it now. Even though it's so heavy, even though I know it's going to cause me to die, I can't let go now. I have to keep going forward with it. So he's like, in order to take action to change, I have to grab the wheel. And Willie's like, this is my chance and I'm going to run with it. So he ends up being what Rod Reese wanted to be the whole time. Crazy talk, right? But yeah, he basically staged this entire internment zone as a battlefield in order to gain sympathy from the world towards the warriors as victims. The warriors, the Eldians as victims. Like these poor people. Look at what happened to them. Let's give Marley all of our support as they go to fight Parody. Let's just give them all the support for the program and keep it going. Basically. So yeah, which is interesting. And then suggesting that King Fritz was a good person. He worked with the Tybers to bring an end to the war. And that ultimately Parody and Eren are the ultimate enemy of everyone. He took this opportunity to paint Eren and Parody as the ultimate enemies of the world. And that if we don't destroy them, they're going to just raze everything to the ground, right? So Willie made this grand statement to get the world against Parody and Eren. And with Eren's actions involved too, I think it's going to work. I think that everybody's going to support Marley in all this, especially after watching Eren just straight up eat Willie Tiber. But yeah, so all that's going on. And at the end of the conversation in episode 6 in the carriage, I love the idea that they're basically, McGath and Willie are both suggesting we're all devils. We're just serving ourselves. Marley and the Eldians inside of Marley. We're all just serving ourselves. Like, we're all devils in this. We may look angelic. Our intentions may be good, but we're all devils because we're just going to cause a bunch of death and destruction and we are complicit in it. Like, by the end of their conversation, McGath and Willie come to an agreement that, yeah, bunches of people are going to die, Willie included, but it's okay. It's all for the greater good. We're fine with it. So yeah, we're all devils serving ourselves. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, Christopher. That was really, really good. And also, Christopher brings up the idea of the act of conscription, which we'll talk about with McGath. I hadn't looked up conscription, but it's basically McGath wants it to be in law that Marleyans can serve in the military so that they get to see the horrors of war and realize how useless it is. So it's interesting. Willie seems to want to perpetuate this war amongst Parody. And McGath is going along with it because he's like, okay, yeah, in order to get what needs to be done. We do need to fight parody, and we do need to have a war with them. But McGath is super interesting. Rewatching these episodes, I really like McGath's character, and in episode 1, I didn't think I'd like him at all, and now I'm like, he's one of the more interesting characters in all of this. Because McGath is saying, everybody was talking about how the conversation in episode 4 about them decoding the rats infesting the house. Basically, McGath is suggesting the military has decayed. The military is no longer functioning as it should. It's all become corrupted. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. And that kind of ties back to Roy Reviewer. Roy Reviewer noted that in episode 4, the battle planning scene, I had felt bad for Reiner because I felt like they were just trash talking Reiner. But Roy points out something really cool, that whole scene with the military is to show how incompetent they are. Like, Reiner's giving them logistical pieces of information, saying like, well, here's what I know. And the guy in the army is just like, oh, it's just pointless to talk to an Eldian. And I thought at the time that Galliard was making fun of Reiner outside of the war room, but he really wasn't. He was making fun of the military man for being stupid and not taking Reiner seriously. So McGath seems to be on the same page as, like Roy's pointing out, realizing the military has a lot of problems. And they even suggest that some of the conspirators or some of the people against, Marley are within the military itself, which is interesting. So I'm wondering if that's going to tie back to Zeke. But McGath believes there should be conscription. The Marley people should know what war is like. He's like, right now the Marleyans are just using the Eldian people and living in the laps of luxury and not realizing what it's costing. And McGath has been in the military so long that he's realized what that cost is. And that scene of him watching the internment zone is him realizing that, yeah, these are people too. We're using them. They're dying, and the Marley people don't realize that. So he wants to make them know how bad war is. And I kind of appreciate McGath for wanting to do that, being like, look, we shouldn't just have the Eldians fighting this war. Marley should be fighting it too. And it's like, okay. And so he also kind of seems to suggest that maybe the Titan unit should be dissolved after they defeat Parody, of course. But it seems like McGath has been in this war so long, he just views it as useless and he just wants it to end. Kind of like Reiner, he just wants the war to end. But Reiner and McGath are so embedded in the system that it's like, well, what do we do to stop it? At this point, it's gone on for so long and we're in so deep. What can we do? So that's interesting. He wants to end the war by defeating Parody, which we're going to tie to Eren here in a minute. So, and then they suspect these are inside conspirators, and it seems established after his conversation with Willie that Willie has placed McGath in charge of the military. Now that Calvi's dead, I think that McGath is probably going to end up as the main commander in charge, and they're just going to drain the swamp, cut out all the incompetent military if they're not already dead, and just start from the ground up. And nobody's going to argue with McGath because, like he said last episode, he fired the first shot. He's the one that should get the credit for trying to defend Marley first. It's like, it's all very intentional, right? So, fascinating stuff. But anyway, we're going to tie back to a couple of these things on here. But yeah, the idea of Christopher Peterson noted that everybody on this board, everybody thinks they're in the right. It goes back to what Flock was telling Eren. He's like, you think you're always right. All of these characters do. Willie thinks he's in the right for doing what he's doing. McGath thinks he's in the right for doing what he's doing. Eren thinks he's in the right for doing what he's doing. And then poor Survey Corps are like, what we doing? So yeah, everybody thinks that they're doing the right thing, right? And Christopher also noted that, I love this phrase, Christopher. You said, if they say they're a devil or an angel, they're probably wrong. So, yeah. So maybe, I don't know, he said we're all devils, so are they? I feel like we're going to talk about this the rest of this series, like what is good, what is evil, right? But then there's this thing that Christopher brought up about the devil of all earth. And I went back and listened to episode 4 to that conversation again, and then in episode 6 about the devil of all earth, that Willie kind of suggests, and I agree with you, Christopher, because going back and re-listening, I'm like, Willie kind of suggests that the devil of all earth was an entity, was an actual thing, because we've established the devil of all earth is what or who gave the power or made a contract with Ymir Fritz to become the first Titan, suggesting that it is like a demon or an entity or a god or something. But Willie suggests that the devil of all earth, whatever that was slain by the humans, by the Tybers, about 100 years ago with Carl Fritz. With Carl Fritz. And so I'm wondering was it an actual entity, like a physical being that was slain, Or was it the will of the former founding titan getting usurped by the will of the current founding titan? That's the thing, right? That's the thing. Because the founding titan, if you think about it, up until 100 years ago, the founding titan for like 1700 years had been this tyrannical figure that was just all about like death and destruction and colonialism and like just assimilating everybody into its empire. But then when old Karl Fritz came about, suddenly he was pacifist. Like, that doesn't seem like an overnight change, right? That seems like Karl functions kind of the same way that Eren does, that when Karl took over the founding titan powers, it completely changed the game, much like Eren's doing now. So that's interesting. So I thought that's curious. I obviously don't want to be spoiled, but I'm going into this and thinking of the Devil of All Earth in a new light is intriguing. But yeah. So then we have Eren in all of this. And I love that CW says that Isayama is like Shakespeare, doing the play within a play. We have the play on stage, and then we have the actual play with Reiner and Eren below. And Colt and Reiner, I like that there's the idea of Colt and Reiner. I talked about in episode 4, Colt and Reiner looking on Gabi and Falco, and then in episode 3, them like watching them run and everything, and Falco beating Gabi. And Colt and Reiner are kind of representations of Marley versus Parody, because they're both trying to save them. They're both trying to save people they care about by using other people. They're both saving people that they're dear to, whether it's family or friends or their countryside, by using each other. So they're using each other to try to get to the means to an end. And they don't care what happens to you. Like Colt wants Gabi to become the armored titan. She doesn't care that she'll die as long as it saves Falco. And Reiner doesn't care if Falco dies to become the armored titan as long as it saves Gabi. So you've just got two sides that want to save people that they're close to, and they are willing to sacrifice the other side if it gets it done. And it's kind of a metaphor for what's going on here, right? It's interesting. And so before I go any further, be happy. That was my last note on here before I finish talking about Whiteboard-kun. And I'm sorry, this is a long intro. But Be Happy said, how did Eren know to find his grandpa there? Did he follow Zeke? Did he learn from Zeke? And then what's the significance of the baseball? I haven't forgot about that baseball glove. I have not forgot about the baseball glove or the baseball. I'm still like, that means something. And we're going to find out later, I'm sure. But I'm like, that still means something. So I'm curious. Again, Zeke's on my radar. Zeke is on my radar. He's been weird these last couple episodes. And rewatching episode 6 when he just leaves Peak and Galliard and Armin was like, oh, go to the front gate. And he's like, okay. Like, didn't even question it. Like, even Peak thought that something was suspicious and up with Armin. Zeke doesn't even question it. And I'm like, I kind of thought Zeke was smarter than Peak. So, again, he's on my radar. But I'm going to save the rest of my notes here that are not highlighted for after the episode. For after the episode during the discussion. But then we have Eren and the Survey Corps. And Eren, I think that my biggest problem going into episode 6 was that I was projecting my own thoughts of how Eren should be onto Eren. That's my biggest problem. That's been the biggest hurdle, because by the end of season 3 in episode 22, when Eren was saying he's a fellow patriot, just leave him be, and then when he was at the ocean, he was pointing with like melancholy across the sea, saying, "If we kill all of our enemies on the other side, will we be free then?" When he said that to Armin, I thought that Eren was realizing how futile war is and how futile it all is. Like, there's no point in us trying to kill the other side, because is it going to make us free? No, not really, right? We have to have that dialogue. I don't think that's what it is. Because as some of you pointed out, and I have it marked on here, I don't think, I'll probably go back to it. Yeah, Eric, I think Eric, you're pointing this out too. That when Eren says the whole fellow patriot line, that was a sign that he's kind of with the restorationist ideology, because he says a fellow patriot, meaning, and I'll go back to your comment after the discussion, Eric, but when he says the fellow patriot line, a fellow patriot meaning I'm a patriot too. And if you're a patriot and you're going on with that restorationist ideology, that means Marley's got to go. Like freedom from Eldia from Marley. That's the thing. So here's the thing with Eren. We need to go through this real quick. That changed my whole perspective. I was like, oh, I'm thinking Eren wants to have a dialogue. No, I don't think that's it now. No, I don't think that's it now at all. And we're going to talk about that. But Eren seemed to know what was going to happen. Eren seemed to know that there was going to be attack. Somebody has informed Eren. And I don't know if it's the Survey Corps finding intel, if it's Zeke, I don't know. But Eren knew that something was going to happen. He had been informed because he made Reiner listen to the play. He made Reiner listen to the play. He knew something was going down. Something was going to happen. Eren was pretty prepared for the events of episodes 5 and 6. I think the only thing he wasn't prepared for was when Tiber said, it's because we're born this way. And that like jolted Eren like, I think that was the only part that Eren was surprised by in that episode. But he says he's like Reiner. He had no choice. He had to go to Marley. And I do agree with Eren on that front that if he didn't go to Marley, the battle was going to come to him. So he's like, Reiner, I'm just like you. I want to keep my friends and family safe, just like you do. But that's a questionable thing because Eren has always been for himself in a lot of things, like freedom for himself. I do think he cares about Mikasa and Armin, obviously, and he wants to keep them safe. Especially, I mean, he just broke down for Armin in Midnight Sun. Like, he broke down for him and defended him to the ends of the earth. So I do think he cares about his friends and family, but a lot of his seeking of freedom and seeking revenge has been for his own personal reasons. Or at least I think that they are. But he says, I'm just like you, Reiner. I had no choice but to come to Marley. You had no choice but to go to Parody. Like, we had no choice in the matter. We pretty much have to do it. It's do or die, right? And I love that they frame Eren as a rebel against peace. They frame Eren as a rebel against peace, which kind of is in this, right? Because like Mikasa says, you can't go back and undo these things. You've done too much. So now Willie suggests that Eren can control the founding Titan powers. Willie suggests that, and I think that was just Willie getting the world against Parody as the ultimate enemy, because we've established that Eren can't fully control the founding Titan powers unless he has a family member, unless he's touching a royal family member that's in Titan form. Eren cannot fully control those powers. So Willie Willie might have been lying in that instance just to get the world against Eren even more, because I don't think Eren can control those powers fully yet. Eren saying everyone across the sea. Eren says in episode 5, he saw everyone across the sea as an enemy, but now he's slept with them, he's ate food with them, he's realized that, yeah, there's jerks here, but there's good people too. I think Eren's referring to the Eldians in Marley. I think he still thinks that Marley is the enemy. They're the enemy, but not the Eldians that are within it. Like, he feels sympathy for the Eldians. And again, I think I talked last episode or episode 5 that I think Eren will try to rally all of the Eldians against Marley. But at this point, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know. I don't see Gabi and Falco going along with that because they, have so much, trauma against him now. I don't know. But I feel like he still views Marley as an enemy, but not the Eldians being controlled by Marley. Like, he sympathizes with them. And he says, Reiner, I'm the same as you. Maybe we were born this way. We always are moving forward against oppression, seeking freedom. Like, Reiner wants this war to end. He's tired of war. He's tired of of it all. And I think Eren is too. But I think Eren's thinking, well, let's just get rid of Marley and get rid of everything, and then there won't be any war. So it's like, I don't know. But Eren's not here for the dialogue. That's been my problem. I thought Eren was here to start negotiations and a dialogue. Nope. No, I don't think so at this point. And I think that's where Mikasa and Jean have problems with him, because we established in the last episode, they've been wanting Eren to come back home. They're like, why'd you leave? Why are you here? They've come to get him, and Eren said that once he was done here, he'd return back home. So I guess once Eren got done painting, causing Titan World War II, then he was going to go back home. Now, the letters to them, he said the letters didn't reach his family, but his comrades. So I guess he didn't send a letter to Zeke. I guess that ties that out. But yeah, Mikasa and Jean seem the most against Eren's actions at this point. We haven't gotten Armin's perspective in all of this. But Mikasa seems horrified that Eren's killed civilians and children. She seems horrified at this. She's like, you've done things you can't undo. Why did you do this? Jean does not seem on board with this either. Jean's like, we're supposed to keep casualties at a minimum. You're doing the exact opposite of that. But then Flock's totally on board with Eren. He's like, they're the enemy. Marley's caused us all this pain. Let's get rid of them. Flock and Eren might be on the same page, and I don't know how to feel about that. I'm kind of terrified about it. So yeah, that's where I am with with going into episode 7. I feel better. I feel better putting that all on the floor. So yeah, I apologize that this has literally been a 24-minute intro. I'm sorry, but I had to get that off my chest because I was like, I just need to just air that out and say where my headspace is going into this, because all hell has broken loose. It's a free-for-all. One of you, I think, Sacha, you said you were like, shit's got layers. Yeah, this whole deal has got layers. And I feel like that as these episodes go on, more layers are going to get peeled back and revealed. More stuff with McGath, more stuff with Willie's whole thing, and the Tybers, and the past with Carl Fritz, more things with Eren. Like, it's all gonna start peeling back. And I'm terrified because I want things to be happy, and Isayama's like, we can't have that. So, the last thing I'll say before we start is that Esteban, fellow friend and patron Esteban, sent me this guidebook. And I have a separate video that's going to be on YouTube before this episode airs talking about it. But he sent me this guidebook. I've been going through it. And it only covers seasons 1 and season 2. So it's kind of nostalgic, if you can believe that. I'm going to view this as a precursor to the manga. But I want to note that I'm barely through it. I'm not very through it, as you can see. But I want to note that there is a page on page 34 where, this takes place in season 1 of the series. And there's a little shot of Eren Yeager there. And there's a little panel about him, and it says, humanity's trump card or a prelude to destruction. Isayama, you fiend! You madman! Just giving us this back in season 1? Foreshadowing. Right? So, okay, I'm gonna get Whiteboard-kun out of the way. Okay, I feel better. So yeah, I poured myself a cup of coffee, and I'm ready now. Like I said, I still have notes to talk about at the end after this discussion. I still got plenty of notes from everybody. Y'all are leaving such amazing comments, and the sad thing is I'm recording ahead. So by the time that I read some of your comments, I'm like, yep, we've talked about that. Yep. And so I feel redundant. But I appreciate some of you have had such beautiful responses, and I'm like, such amazing tributes to these characters. I'm like, I love it. I love reading it. So anyway, Assault. I pulled up this episode and I got it up here and it said episode 7, Assault. I'm like, awesome. So it's just, last episode was such a war zone, and we're in the middle of this battle. It's going to be ridiculous. So why not? So let's do this though. I've dallied long enough, the longest intro ever, but it needed to happen. That was our mini recap for the season. So we're going to start episode 7 of Attack on Titan season 4 here in 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. I'm glad I did that mini recap going into this, because I feel a lot better now going into this. I'll be honest, episodes 4, 5, and 6, I watched within days of each other, and that was a bad idea because my brain was mush. And so taking like 4 or 5 days off after episode 6 to be like, okay, decompress, think about it, rewatch it, I feel a lot better. This episode, did not go how I thought it would at all. I mean, okay, the ending is how I thought it was going to get, but I thought we were going to get there a lot sooner. I did not expect Eren to eat the Warhammer. No, I did not expect that. I thought the Galliard and Peak and them would get the Warhammer and run and take it. But the more the episode went on, the more Peak talked, I was like, they're not going to let them just go. They're just going to they wanted to corner the Survey Corps and Eren and just kill them now. And I'm like, ugh. And so I was like, okay. But that became more apparent that was going to be the case, and that's what they were striving for. And then I kept thinking, okay, well, if they're not going to let him go, then either and for a second I thought the Warhammer was just going to die and go to somebody random, but no, Eren drank the Kool-Aid. He's got 3 now. I really think, so I'm wondering with this theory, if Eren is trying to get all of the Titan shifters together inside of him, like a Horcrux thing. And I'm wondering if there's something to that. Like, don't deconfirm my theories or confirm them, obviously, because that's spoilers. But I'm wondering if Eren is trying to gather up all the warrior spirits back into one entity, and maybe something happens. Maybe you unlock the Matrix door. Maybe you go find the spirit of Ymir Fritz or the devil of all Earth. If you do that, maybe something like that happens. I don't know. But it just seems like he's gathering them all up, and he got the Warhammer. That's terrifying. you done goofed. I'm like, okay, Parody just made themselves a hell of a lot stronger because he's got the Warhammer now and the Founding and the Attack Titan. Like that was Marley's trump card, was the Warhammer. So, but here's the curious thing about that theory. If Eren's trying to gather up all the Titans, then eventually, if that were the case, eventually he'd have to kill Armin. Would he do that? Armin's his best friend. Would he do that? And so now I'm wondering if the whole game is going to be, we have to keep Eren from getting all the Titan Shifters. We have to keep some of the Titan Shifters away from him so he doesn't get them. Because as soon as Galliard revealed that his claws and jaw could do that, Eren, like, the light in his eyes, it was like Eren's heart grew 3 sizes. He was like, and Eren was suddenly like, you had my curiosity, now you have my attention. It's like, and using him as a nutcracker. Holy crap. Okay. I had to bring Whiteboard-kun out. I was debating for a second when I stopped the reaction. I was like, okay, do I start the discussion or am I going to bring Whiteboard-kun out? And I think I am going to bring Whiteboard-kun out because Zeke is still suspicious. Zeke is still suspicious. And I was like, something's up. Something is up. Something's up. Zeke's in on all this. Something's up with Zeke. I could be wrong, but something is up with Zeke, okay? Hear me out. This is everything is episode. It's a setup episode. This was like it was kind of like episode 4 in that there's things being set up that I feel like just like in From One Hand to Another, there's things being set up that are going to come back, I'm sure. But it was also kind of like last episode where it's an attack episode that our Survey Corps and Parody proving their worth, proving that they thought this out, that this was a thought out thing. Okay? So, curious. Okay, so I'm going to put Zeke over here in the corner. We got another web thing going here. We got another web going because, okay, Zeke was very suspicious, all right? So, last episode, Zeke went to the front gate, right? I love things tying together because you have Kruger and the whole airship when Kruger was showing Grisha at the beginning of episode 20 when he's showing them the airship. And then what do we have come back in this episode? An airship. What was season 4 start out with? An airship with Zeke. This is what, and there's some guy that's piloting, the black guy that's piloting the airship. We've never met him before. He's new. So I'm going to put Hanji up here. All right. So Hanji has the airship, and I'm going to tie Armin is now on board the airship too. And we got a name for him, and I'm going to get his name in a minute when we come back to it. But yeah, I think that there are Titans aboard, either Titans or Eldians that can become Titans aboard that ship. I think that it's Titans because, one, I don't think Connie would be on board with the idea of transforming more people into more Eldians into Titans. That just seems like it would go against Connie's whole constitution because the Beast Titan. But here's the thing. Part of me is wondering if Zeke got them in with the airship while he was at the front gate. I'm so curious if that was because McGath gave Zeke a weird look. Like what? So McGath, look at Zeke. Okay. McGath gave Zeke a weird look. Everybody was like, oh, the Beast Titan's here. And McGath was kind of like, you're here now? You just showed up? Where you been? Zeke is suspicious. And I could be totally wrong, and it could be the fact that Zeke has been like the hardest character in this show for me to read, but he's suspicious. Okay. But, okay, so we got Hanji over here. We're going to put Eren over here. And we're going to put Falco, Reiner, and Peak, and Galliard. Okay, got our map out thing here. So, oh my God, Levi. Just and I like that of the characters that still have their cape, Levi and Armin have them. It's like the two that are holding. It makes sense with Armin because, and all the ties to Erwin. the ties to Erwin. I put this on Twitter, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys while I'm thinking about it. I put it on Twitter, but there's a part in this guidebook that I laughed out loud and then I nearly cried because there's a little point in here where we get to Armin's profile and it talks about all the plans that Armin had and all the strategies he had. And there's a tiny little panel at the bottom of page 43. I put it on Twitter, but I'll show you all. There's a tiny little panel and I'm going to get it right over here. Yeah, see that there? See that guy there? That's Erwin saying strategies that only Armin could devise. Back in season 1, Erwin was approving Armin's strategies. It's almost like Armin was meant to succeed him. Kind of. That's all I could think of at that moment. I was like, shit, Isayama, I hate you. This episode. Okay, we just need to start and go chronologically and go from there. But Armin and Levi are the only ones that kept their little capes. It's kind of like Armin is carrying on Erwin's spirit, and we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, Levi coming in, being badass as hell. This, again, Mappa has fallen to the same pit that Wit Studio has. They have to make Levi look great. They have no choice. They have no choice but to make Levi look amazing. Galliard and Peak are interesting in this episode because Galliard and Peak's whole thing is that Galliard is too impatient. He doesn't have the patience to hold out. He doesn't have the patience. He charges in. And Peak's problem is that she's overconfident in what Marley can do. She underestimates the planning that Parody has done leading up to this attack. She's like, well, it doesn't make sense. They rushed in here. Well, she doesn't strategize. She doesn't express caution. So that's, okay, interesting. But yeah, and Levi instantly knows. So yeah, Peak shows up with her crew, with the unit. And yeah, the machine guns just taking out a lot of nameless Survey Corps members that we did not know. So they are no longer. We're going to put down Lara. Lara is amongst the dead. We're going to have to add Lara to the dead list. Old Lara Tiber for episode 7 here. Lara Tiber goes down. The Warhammer. Girl put up a fight, and her resting bitch face when she was just looking at Eren like, try me. Like, that's interesting too. We'll get to talk to her about her and Annie. Interesting indeed. So, because I've got some theories on that. But yeah, so yeah, Levi realizes that Peak's coming in with the machine guns who are highly effective against the Survey Corps members, as they would be. And I want to point out with Jean that just like season 1, Jean going into the house to take shelter, I instantly thought of the Battle of Trost and Jean like hiding out in the house to get away from Annie. Like or get away from the Titans. I instantly thought of that moment with Jean, him hiding out in the house and him knowing that the cart Titan is there. And then yeah, Peak. So interesting. So I think it's curious that they established that Peak does not have very good, she has great endurance, but she's physically not very strong at all. And man, we cut back to Eren holding on to the Warhammer Titan, holding on to Lara, and her eyes like shifting and her being able to control. Eren just gained a really, really good ability. And I'm kind of terrified now, a little bit. Because this hardening ability, like that shell of the Founding Titan, like the shell of it is terrifying. It's so haunting. And yeah, Okay, so then the Beast Titan shows up. Yeah, Eren is trying to get old Lara outside of the shell, and the Beast Titan shows up. And then I find it very curious, Levi's expression when the Beast Titan shows up. Here's the thing, and this is what makes me suspicious of Zeke even more, is that when the Beast Titan shows up, Levi doesn't immediately be like, there he is, I'm gonna kill him. Doesn't do that. He's pretty calm about the Beast Titan showing up. He's pretty calm about it. And then Jean says, that's him all right, the Beast Titan. Yeah. And they're all happy to see him. And everybody, yeah, Galliard's happy to see him. Peak doesn't say anything. We don't get to see Peak's reaction. The soldiers all around McGath are happy. They're like, oh, there he is. Look. But McGath does not look happy at all. Which is, I feel like that is intentional. I feel like Isayama is intentionally showing us that. Something's up. Okay, We'll come back to it though. But then Gabi, this is important. Gabi says, I'm going to kill you, Eren Yeager. She doesn't say I'm going to kill you, Devils of Parody. She doesn't say I'm going to kill you, Devils. She specifically says, I'm going to put Falco and Gabi here, that Eren is the enemy. That it's Eren's fault that all this is happening, not the Devils of Parody. And so I'm wondering if that ties back to Tiber's speech about the people of Parody, you know, trying to stay away from all the conflict, and then Eren, the usurper, comes in and mucks that all up. So the fact that Gabi is pinning all of this destruction, all this death on Eren, I feel is important. But yeah, Eren looking at Zeke. And they're all set up with the lights and everything. Eren looking at Zeke with the Warhammer. Here's the thing. Let none escape, kill them all. Zeke's saying that about the Survey Corps and everyone, but then, God, I've waited since Midnight Sun. I said it before, I said it during the reaction, but ever since Midnight Sun, when Zeke first confronted Eren and says, I'll come rescue you, I'll come save you, I've wanted Eren and Zeke to have a conversation because they're half brothers. They both are carriers of Grisha's sin, you know? They both have so much they could talk about, right? Family reunion. They're literally the only family each other has left. That's the truth of it. They are the only family each other has left because both their sets of parents are dead. I mean, technically Eren and Zeke both have their grandparents. Their grandparents are still alive, but that's literally it. It's them and their grandparents are the only ones left in their bloodline, in their family. I mean, and Historia for Zeke. For Zeke, it's just Eren, Historia, and his grandparents. That's literally it. And then I like that parallel that Zeke says, I'm going to put Levi down here because we need to include Levi in this. Zeke says, kill them all. None of them leave. And then Levi says, don't die on me, survive. I like that. I like that contrast. You have Zeke saying just cause death and destruction, kill all of them. And Levi's like, don't die on me, live. So you have life and death kind of contrasting each other there. But Levi is surprisingly composed. Like super composed. And I guess Zeke is too. I guess you could argue that Levi's had 4 years to mull this over. I'm just surprised because I know Levi is known for his cold, emotionless fury and that he can be completely emotional without showing it. But still, there's something that just seems up, right? He tells them all to survive, right? He's like, don't die on me. And so then, yeah, we get Levi coming at Zeke, them coming at each other. And that's what I've waited ever since the start of this, ever since the moment we figured out that the Survey Corps could be there. Since I saw Jean in episode 1, I was like, okay, if Levi's there, then Levi's going to face the Beast Titan at some point. That's been in my mind since episode 1. So we finally get that moment, but it's not exactly, it doesn't go down exactly like I thought it would, right? So we cut back to Reiners Hands, and I want to make a comment about the imagery with Reiner. The imagery with Reiner, that he saves Falco, right? And his hands are like in prayer, is what they look like. I mean, you could argue that they look like this. They're cupped together like this, right? Like he put Falco together in his hands. And you could say that he just put them in together like hands, but they kind of look like their prayer. It's like a prayer sort of, like he just cups them together. It reminds me a lot of when he saved Bertolt. But yeah, he's basically, he bit his hand like at the last second to turn into the Titan to save Falco. And then poor Falco gets up and the hands like have come out of the ground and they're all fingers. They're just fingers after fingers. Oh, that's creepy. Like Reiner's hands folded together. It's just layers of fingers. That's so weird. But yeah, poor Falco looks up and what does he see? But he sees everybody flying around the Beast Titan and Peak and just a full out war has started. And Falco's like, what the heck's happening? Which Falco and Gabi are used to war. They've been fighting battles. They fought that battle against the Mid-Eastern Allied forces earlier. So they're used to scenes like this. But yeah, Falco seeing everything and the Thunder Spears. And the Thunder Spears do not affect, it's really literally the bone, the Titan bone on Jaw is the only thing that could break through it. And Mikasa tries to break it and it doesn't do anything. And I just love Lara's expression through all this. She's just like, I hate all of you. So again, that is curious because Eren's still looking at her. Like, and I like that Eren's eyes are kind of like milky. They're like a milky white with the green inside. Interesting. That makes me curious. That makes me think that they haven't done anything with Annie. They still have Annie back on Parody, trapped in her little pod, right? That Annie's still stuck back there. But now that Eren knows, well, now that Eren has the hammer, the war hammer, he may not need Galliard. He may not need Porco, because if he can use the armor to create something that can bust through armor, if he's figured out that bone busts through bone, then that may be it. He may not need Porco anymore. But I'm thinking that as soon as he figured out what Porco's ability could do, he was like, oh, I want to eat you, because then if I eat you, I can eat Annie. That's a thing. So that's what I'm thinking, is that he's going to try to get Porco so that he can become the Jaw Titan too, so that he can break Annie out and eat her as well. Why not at this point? You know, you've come this far, you have 3 Titans in you, why stop there? Right? That's just so interesting. And then, yeah, Falco sees all this. He's like, is that Kruger? And he says, no, it's not Kruger. It's Eren Yeager. Yeah, so, like, get that out of your mind. The Kruger persona was a lie. And he gets mad at him because he's like, you've caused all this. And Reiner, Reiner's face, like him biting his hand, like Reiner, it looks like Reiner has resolve, but it's just like he's doing this just to save Falco. He's not doing this to help himself. Reiner, my dude. And yeah, Vice Chief Braun. I was like, at least you're down in there where it's somewhat safe. And this is so bizarre. Like, everything, like, sucking him in is so bizarre. It's just, like, the tendrils and the intestines and everything, it's like it's not fully formed. It's just kind of, like, sucked into, like, his nervous system and everything. And then, like, his jaw and everything isn't quite formed either. It's just like he's just half there. Like he just did it on instinct. It's like the Nightmare Fuel Titan. And Falco says it's his fault. It's like, oh, Falco, honey. And then, yeah, he's alive, but he's not conscious. And his body should heal itself, but if you have the will to live, and that is as long as he has the will to live. But then he remembers back before that his will to live is kind of like, not really there. He just wanted to die. Poor Falco. I just want Falco and Gabi to give him a big old hug. That's all I want. That's all I need. And him putting the little hand on Reiner's shoulder. He's like, I'll go get help. There's more than just enemies out there. He's like, there's me, Gabi, and the others, and we're all on your side. Oh my God, Falco. I want to give this kid, like, all the cookies and medals. Because, yeah, he's like, there's not just enemies for you out there. Like, you have friends. There's people here for you. I'm like, that's why Reiner earlier was like, I'm living for these kids. And that brings up a good point, too. I'm going to get into my notes at some point. But I was going to mention this at the beginning of the reaction, and I got too hyped up. But Malik Para 915 for episode 4 put this down saying, and I had to just quote it because I was like, it shattered my soul and made me laugh at the same time. Said, as Reiner looked at the kids who are currently his sole reason to live, laughing and safe in episode 4, he let out his first smile in over 5 years. As punishment for daring to display even a shred of happiness, the universe brought him face to face with Eren Yeager. I laughed so hard at that. I was like, Malik, oh my God. But it's so true. Reiner shows one smile in episode 4, one shred of happiness in 5 years. And Isayama's like, don't you be getting cocky. And then deals him all of this. I was like, oh my God, no. But it's so true, right? It's so true. But yeah, there's Gabi, me, and the others. It's like, no, Reiner, you're not alone. Like, you have people that care about you. Don't give up yet. I love that Falco's like, hang in there, Vice Chief. Don't give up. He's like, and you find out this whole time Reiner's just been wanting to die. He's like, why can't I die in peace? Because it's not time yet, Reiner. It's not time for you to die yet. And so, yeah, so we cut back to Zeke fighting them with the rocks and everything. That jerk. But here's the thing. It all seems to be, yeah, And it just, I don't know. Something's off. Because Peak's like, protect the war chief. Zeke normally moves around, and back during Shiganshina, like Zeke was moving around, and he was like getting things, and he just seemed more proactive. I don't know. Something's off with Zeke, and we're going to get more to that. I also want to note, there's a really cool tie back with Galliard. So Peak is all about, I'm a Reiner. Peak is all about protecting Zeke. That is the main thing. Like, Zeke is important in all this. And I want to tie back to Galliard and the ties to Ymir. Because, and this must be a Jaw Titan thing, that Ymir, when she was on Reiner's back, way back in season 2, like maybe episode 10, I think the end of episode 10, episode 11, might have been episode 11 in charge. But Ymir, like, popped herself out of the Titan to talk to Historia, right? And they had this conversation. And I remember commenting at the time that she popped herself out of the Titan, and then as soon as Eren and them started coming, she just popped herself right back in. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, is that something that has to do with the Jaw Titan? Apparently it does, because Galliard just pops himself out of Jaw there and just pops himself right back in like it's no big deal. I thought that was like a big deal to like get yourself out and put yourself back in. Not for him, so I wonder if that has something to do with the Jaw Titan because it's so quick that he can just instantly do it, like just pop out, pop back in. Ymir did the exact same thing back in season 2, so I thought that was really cool, like a nice little callback that maybe that's part of the powers. Maybe. Because we've established that Peak is the exact opposite. Galliard is like, one of you tied it to a sprinter versus a marathon runner, that Galliard is more the sprinter and Peak is more the marathon runner. So I think that's totally true. And I think that Galliard is more like he can do quick instant things like pop in and pop out. But once he fully gets out of the Titan, then it's not the same. But Peak, unlike Galliard, can just sit there for long periods of time. But once she's out, she can't just go right back in. It takes her a while. I'm like, okay. And then I'm not sure where Ackerman is. He's hiding somewhere. Okay. And Peak's like, are you serious? And then there's the thing with the Warhammer. And Eren tries to bite through and it does not work. He just gets his front teeth. I love that expression! Her expression when he bites the Warhammer thing. I'm going to take a photo of that because that is absolutely amazing. Like her expression, and I'll show you guys up here on the screen what I'm talking about. It as soon as I saw that in the reaction, I'm like, oh my god, I need to take a picture of that. I'll show you all right here. But her expression is just like, bitch, please. That's hilarious. I will never get over that expression. She just looks so pissed off at him. Like, how dare you try to eat through my crystal? Yeah, and he's like, my teeth are useless against that. Meaning that he's tried it with Annie, probably. And she's like, forget you. But Eren establishes you're completely worn out, too. He's like, we're both at our limits, because if you had anything left, you'd try to stab me through the nape. And you see this one spike has, like, gotten up to his hand, but it hasn't gone through. So she's at her limit. Like, she can't do anything more as the Warhammer. She's just in total defense mode now. Yeah, you've got no more moves to play. He's like, but I do. And here's the thing, too. Oh, Eren, he's like, I have plenty. Eren has been working on, he just bites and goes right back. Eren's been working on this. And I guess, you know, if you've had 4 years to do this, then, yeah, Porco's like, after all that, the bastard still has more fight in him. Yeah. I mean, Eren, he's come a long way since season 3 when he could barely do because he's done all those hardening missions. Like, he's just constantly trained himself to go back and forth. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. And then here's where we get a big distinction. Porco's like, if we get him, we can have the Founding Titan. He's right here. And so we have this distinction between Porco and Peak. Peak is all about patience. And Porco is all about the result. Porco's like, we have him. He's right here. We have the Founding Titan. Let's just take him and go. Let's just get this over with. And Peak's like, there's no need for us to rush. We're the ones controlling the battlefield. So they think. We're the ones controlling the battlefield. They're being driven into a corner. Okay? They came here in ODM gear, so their weapons and fuel are limited. And she's not wrong. She's not wrong. By Peak's logic, Peak's like, I can go for months, bitch. I got this down. I got this on lock. We're good. She's like, I can go as long as I need to. They're the ones that we're going to... It's very much Zeke's mentality that he probably told her back at Shiganshina, is that we'll just wait it out. We'll just... At the time, during Shiganshina, that logic worked really well. She's like, we can wait them out. We'll just keep them on top of the wall. We've got them cornered. They can't go anywhere. They're going to run out of fuel. They're going to run out of food. We'll just wait it out and then attack them. That's kind of the same logic that she's applying here as that from Shiganshina. Like, they came here in ODM gear. Their weapons and fuel are limited. Right? So they only have a limited amount of supplies. If they just wait them out, they're stranded in enemy territory without support. So they think. Right? And Marley has surrounded the zone by now, so there's no escape. So yeah, she's like, we've got Marley shut off. It's fine. For starters, Parody can't compete against Marley in a real war anyways. Well, about that, Peak. Peak, you underestimate our boys and girls on Parody quite a bit, because she's like, oh, Parody can't compete Marley against Marley in a real war. I'm like, they kind of beat you back at Shiganshina, though, so... Okay. And then Porco's like, but if we take out the Founding Titan right here and right now, they can't do the rumbling. So the rumbling meaning they can't raise the world. I like that has a name, the rumbling. The rumbling is what Galliard calls it. So, I mean, Peak's not wrong. From her perspective, from her point of view, she's like, Shiganshina was one thing. Marley's a totally different thing. We have an entire fleet. We have an entire army. It's fine. We've got this covered. Porco is like, we need to get the Founding Titan, though, like, as soon as possible, because otherwise they could do the rumbling and destroy the world. Their trump card is right in front of us. And that's when Peak says, that's all the more reason to move cautiously. She's like, we have the upper hand at the moment. We have the advantage. They clearly have something up their sleeve, because why would you bring Eren, their trump card, out in the open for everybody to see? She's like, it's kind of bait. They're baiting us. We need to be cautious, but know that we shouldn't panic. That's Peak's thing. Peak's like, we shouldn't panic. We should be patient and not panic, because then if we start to get too ahead of ourselves, then we're going to lose, because they're clearly a formidable foe. If we get too much ahead of ourselves, they're going to do something and we're going to trip up and make a mistake. So Peak has the pretty good sound judgment in all this. There's just, a couple things she probably didn't account for. Right now, our chief focus is protecting the war chief from Ackerman. And so then Zeke says, that's Peak for you. Precisely. Protect me from Ackerman. Listen to her. Sure thing. But then Zeke says this. Zeke said he throws those rocks up against the buildings trying to get out all of the Survey Corps members. But he says Eren Yeager is not my enemy. That's the curious thing, right? He says that Eren is not his enemy. Right? Eren Yeager is not my enemy. And him looking over at Eren as he says that. And Eren's looking back at him like, the hell? Okay, I want to take a picture of that too. Interesting. And then Peak is like, and Porco's like, wait, what? Someone else comes first. Show yourself, Levi. You're running out of time. That's the thing. Okay. But that someone else comes first. I'm like, is the someone else Levi? Or is it the Marleyan government? Zeke, suspicious. Because he says you're running out of time. Why would Zeke say that? Why would Zeke say you're running out of time? That doesn't make sense, because Peak just had a big old spiel about patience. Peak just had a big old spiel about how we can win this battle if we just wait it out. We can outwait them. We can outlast them. But then, and Zeke's saying they're running out of time, which I guess they are, but And then we cut to Levi holding the watch. And I wondered what that stopwatch, at first I thought it was like timing when the fleet was showing up and Armin was going to transform into the Colossal Titan, but I don't think that was it. I think that it was timing when Hanji and the airship is showing up. So, he says, show yourself your own. So is Zeke aware of the airship? Zeke is suspicious. I'm sure. I don't think Zeke is a traitor at this point. I'm flirting with that idea. I'm flirting with the theory, but I don't really have a lot of conviction in it. I think Zeke is still on the side of Marley and the warrior crew. He's just acting weird. He acts like he knows more than he's letting on. And that's frustrating because I'm like, Zeke, explain yourself. Yeah, and Levi's just waiting it out. I don't know. Because, yeah, then Levi, it's like, why does Levi have to wait to take down the Beast Titan? Why is that important? Why? We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this when he takes down the Beast Titan. But, yeah. So, yeah, Falco's like, wow, the War Chief Zeke's something else. He's so huge up in person. And then that's when, okay, we're going to talk about McGath here. McGath sees Falco. And he says, are you okay? Are you hurt? And he's like, then get out of here. Like, I love this. McGath cared for Falco in that moment. He cared for him and Gabi. And making sure they weren't hurt. And then Falco says that everything is Eren's fault. So the thing I like about this is that Falco does not tell McGath, like, oh, by the way, we were underground with Eren Yeager, and it's kind of all our fault that all this, that we didn't stop him. Like, he didn't do anything like that. That's why I'm glad that Falco is self-aware enough to be like, well, here's the thing. He doesn't throw Reiner under the bus at all, which I don't think Falco would, but he doesn't reveal that Eren had been talking with Reiner. That's the big thing. Like, they don't know about that conversation. He just says that Reiner saved him, and now he's where he is now. And then, of course, Gabi shows up to meet up with them, too. So then the fleet showing up. As soon as the fleet started coming into the bay, I was like, oh, this is why we haven't seen Armin. They're waiting for all the fleet to show up because that's their big weapon. And then they see the tiny little dinghy. Get your ship out of here. Can't you see the fleet? At that moment, I was like, no, Armin went back. But here's the thing, Armin went back to the front gate, where Zeke was. So, there are questions. How did Armin and them know about the room with the hole in it in the ground? How did they know about that? When did they find that out? You could argue they did reconnaissance and like found documents that showed the layout of the city and they found that pit that they put Porco and Peak in. You can argue that and maybe that was it. But it's just such a coincidence that they just found. It's just odd that they found this place to put them. And Zeke let Armin take them away. And Zeke didn't act like he suspected anything. Peak suspected something, but Zeke didn't. So maybe Zeke just trusted that they were strong enough that they'd be able to handle it. I just find it curious that Zeke just abandoned them and went to the front gate, where Armin ended up going, and you think they would have crossed paths at some point, but maybe not, because Armin had time to get in the boat. Yeah, and then Armin with the Survey Corps hood. Oh my gosh. Yep. But wait, so he doesn't have a beard here. So was that not Armin back in that episode before? Because he doesn't have a beard here now. Or was it fake? Was it a fake beard? Was it like just rip it off? Odd. Okay. And then, yeah, he bit his tongue or bit something, and that's what caused him to transform. And then, oh my gosh, just completely leveled the place, right? Just like a damn explosion. And just completely wiped it out. And like flew up all the ships and everything. Battleships, yeah. And McGath's like, get out of here! Don't sit there and stare at it. He's like, snap out of it. It's pretty, but you gotta move. And she's like, but look at that. And he's like, it's the port. The only one who can do that is the Colossal Titan. And I like the Peak's like the Titan they stole from Bertolt. And she says it with such disdain. She's like, it's the Titan they stole from us. Like, they killed Bertolt to get it. Yep. Those shits. Yeah, no, they did not barge in without a plan. That's why I'm like, Porco, why did you think that they wouldn't? Okay. No, they had a plan all along. And then again, Porco is impatient. If you lose the founder, your plans mean jack shit. Yeah, no kidding, but... And the other Ackerman out of my way. I'm like, yeah, you know it's Mikasa, huh? You know that there's 2 Ackermans. Cool, good on you. War Chief, here comes their attack. So here's the curious part, okay? This is the curious part of it all. Zeke just stood there to let Levi get him. That's what's the most suspicious part about all of this, is that Zeke didn't do anything. He didn't, because, yeah, you would think that would, Armin transforming into the Colossal Titan would be a distraction, right? Yeah, so he takes out the fleet. This is the weird part of it all, right? So Levi, I think he was timing not only, I guess he's tying not only Armin, but Hanji arriving as well, right? Okay. Timing not only Armin, but Hanji arriving as well. Okay. So Levi could have been timing both of those things. But this part right here is what made me super suspicious about it all. Super suspicious because, one, Zeke is smart. We've established that Zeke is an intelligent person. He's a strategist. He's a military strategist. Him and Peak planned all that out, Shiganshina. They're very intelligent. They know how to strategize, right? So when Armin transformed into the Colossal Titan, Zeke of course would know what that means because he was there. He knows they took Bertolt. Of course they know they've taken that Titan. So Zeke did not protect his nape at all during any of this. Like, he never once, like, held his nape back to, like, try to protect anything. And during this moment here, when Peak's like, here comes their attack, Zeke doesn't act like he's trying to prep for anything. He's just standing there like he's letting Levi come in and take him out. Like, he's letting him do it. Like, he's waiting. He's like, show yourself, Levi, you're running out of time. Like egging Levi on, like, come on, they're here. You know the timing of this. Like, I feel like Zeke's part of all this. I feel like, because then Peak is surprised. Peak is surprised that he went down. And yeah, Levi looks like he's super pissed off at the Beast Titan, which I'm sure a part of Levi is like, yeah, I wanted to get you out of there. But, and then the Beast Titan collapses. I like the symbolism of there's just Titans collapsing all around Gabi and Falco and McGath. Like, the Beast Titan goes on one end, Peak goes on the other end, Galliard's on the other end. Like, all of their warriors are falling at their feet. Like, dropping like flies. But yeah, Zeke collapses right in front of them, and they're like, the hell? And then Levi lands. God, and the Zeke, the eyes and everything. Levi lands and puts the sword inside there. And is that a grenade? So he puts the sword down there. And it looks like a grenade. Yeah, he pulls the pin on there. But here's the thing about that, the grenade. So he puts the grenade down, right? The grenade also lets off a lot of smoke. And in the chaos of all this, I'm like, did Levi grab Zeke and go? Like, just yoink, while this smoke and everything. Because he doesn't put the grenade behind the nape like it would kill Zeke. No, he puts it in front where it's blocking the view of Gabi and Falco and the others. Like, the grenade is blocking the smoke and everything like this. It looks more like a smoke bomb than a grenade. It blocks the field of vision of Gabi and the others. So he could have gone in and got Zeke and pieced out. Right? Because we don't see Zeke or Levi for the rest of this episode. They're just gone. It's suspicious. And I don't know what to make of it, but it's very suspicious. Because, yeah, then suddenly Levi's gone. And Peak's like, Zeke, what's going on? But then there's no time for Peak to think about what's happening because the Survey Corps members are there to distract her. So she doesn't have time to think about it. And I like that they're trying to fire the thunder spears at her. And then Sasha, who is our sharpshooter. Sasha is officially our Usopp god-level sniper. And she just shoots him right in the head point blank and kills him. Was that Carlo? I guess we'll add Carlo to the dead because Carlo gets named. We'll add him to the list. Carlo and, well, basically Carlo and Peak Squad. They all die. But yeah. There, say something, man. Say something, Carlo. Nah, she got him, like, right there. And that's the sad thing. Look, inside the armor of the turret thing there, he had a picture of all of them. He had a picture of him and Peak and a picture of their unit. Thanks, Isayama. Thanks for that little humanizing detail that you gave there. And then Sasha versus Peak. She's like, you'll pay for that. And then Jean, I like that Peak is like, those are my men that you're killing. I'm going to get you. I never thought that I would see one, Sasha versus Peak, but also Jean versus Peak. So someone pointed out, I'm going to Algumalgum. I'm going to get your comment off of here. I'm going to say there was two things that Algumalgum pointed out. One is that the crack ship of Jean and Peak. Back in episode 2, Algumalgum called out and said, you know what, it's funny because Peak, technically, Jean's not seen Peak in human form. Peak meets all of Jean's requirements, like calm demeanor, leaderly qualities, long, thick black hair. Like, Peak is meeting all of Jean's requirements for a person that he would be attracted to. It's the crack ship for the ages. I'm kind of on board with this crack ship of Jean and Peak. Girl, Jean's much better than Porco. Go with him. Like, seriously. But then Jean getting up there to defend Sasha and saying, this is for last time. Okay. When Peak came in, I thought at first he said, this is the last time. Like, this is the last big thing I do against y'all. But he said, this is for last time. So he's like, you came in last time and took Reiner away. And you made me question my judgment and everything. So this is for all that. And he gets the Thunder Sphere right in the eye. And gives them the edge to come in and attack her. Oh my gosh. And all of her men like screaming out to her. Oh, and she just worries about them. And it just pops her out. Damn. But yeah, Peak scrambling away. And everything on her back destroyed. And she lands right behind all of them. Like, they got the Beast Titan on one side. They got Peak on the other side. Yeah. Algumalgum also commented, while I've got you highlighted here, that the soldier who jumped off the building back in episode 2 could have been one that Falco met through the line when he met Eren. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, very well could have been. But yeah, so, and Peak's like eyeball is like, the brains just crushed the eyeball and everything is all messed up. Oh my gosh. So then we have information available for public disclosure. New ODM gear. Gear used by Parody Island forces, which utilizes compressed gas and wire hooks fired from special equipment to allow their soldiers to nearly mimic flight. Though previously unavailable with the island's technology, the gear includes semi-automatic pistols, okay, special swords, and some soldiers are even armed to fire shells, enabling super anti-personnel and anti-Titan combat. So it's like it's combining the anti-personnel equipment that Kenny Squad used back in season 3 with the original Survey Corps gear into this like new stealth unit thing. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So there's that. But, oh my gosh. And so then we cut to the destruction of the Colossal Titan and everything in just fire and red. And the fleet and everything, like the water and everything is just completely erupted. And of course, Isayama puts in the symbolism of like the hand sticking out of the rubble and the kid like slowly dying. And then you have Armin as the Colossal Titan slowly walking towards the center of the city. But he stops. He stops there. And I love that the armored Titan, the head kind of looks like... If you go back and look at this guidebook now that you know it's Bertolt, that looks like Bertolt's head. Now that you look back on it, you're like, yeah, that really does look like Bertolt. So the Colossal Titan has the same face shape. And if you look at the Titan, the Colossal Titan here, it looks like Armin. And Armin pops out of the Colossal Titan. And I love this moment. Like this moment of Armin looking down and seeing like the kid and the people dead and the people on fire and the child dying and saying, are these the sort of sights that you saw? Bertolt. And he looks like he's about to cry. And here's the thing, he fires up in the air almost like it's a signal, I guess, for Hanji to come and get him. So, tying to Bertolt. Because here's the thing, Armin has all of Bertolt's memories. He has all of Bertolt's memories. He's inherited all of those. We've established that the Titan warriors can inherit all these memories. So, Armin probably knows exactly what Reiner and them are going through. Armin can see now Bertolt's memories, and he's like, are these the sights that you saw? Like, is this what your memories showed you? Is this what you saw, Bertolt, when you attacked Shiga and Sheena? So Armin is definitely having the empathy because he understands what was going through their minds, right? That's the crazy thing. And I'm going to wait till the end of the discussion to talk about all the rest of the notes, but we're going to tie back to Armin and that. But that's interesting. I'm glad I've wanted to see ever since Armin became the Colossal Titan if he was going to connect to Bertolt anyway. And he is. He's understanding what Bertolt was going through. And a lot of you have commented that it makes sense that Bertolt was chosen to become the Colossal Titan because of Bertolt's constitution, because of how calm and collected under pressure that he is, and that he has such a sensible character. He wouldn't be like if Eren was the Colossal Titan, he'd just storm through this, he'd just destroy everything, especially season 1 Eren. And so, it makes sense that Armin, who's the most calm and collected of the entire Survey Corps, is the one that becomes the Colossal Titan. Interesting. And so, yeah. And so then, Falco steps in front of Peak, and Jean goes to kill Peak, and he says, please don't shoot. Please stop. And Jean will always be one of my favorite characters in this series. And because Jean is faced with the hard decisions, right? It's Falco and Jean. Falco jumps in with his arms out, like, don't hurt Peak, so don't save her. And Jean was gonna kill her. But he sees Falco, and he makes the resolve, like, okay, I'll do it. But the steam, here's the thing, I think the steam is what caused the Thunder Spear to miss. He's like, was it because of the spear, or was it because of the steam, or is it my fault that I missed? I'm like, Jean, I don't think it was your fault this time. I think Jean made the conscious decision to shoot the spear at her regardless of Falco, but the steam caused him to miss. I don't know. And then just in time for Peak to come out. But Peak's like, her gut and everything, like her mouth and everything, she's like really wounded, and she tells him to run away. She's just like, get out of here. Okay, and McGath's like protect him, like, Gabi, Falco, help me protect him, like trying to fire away from them. Oh my gosh. And then them all getting out of there, and Jean telling them to stay back, like Jean being leaderly in this moment, telling them to get out of here. Oh my gosh. And so then we go back to Porco versus Eren. You've got our two hot-headed characters, which Eren doesn't seem hot-headed now. Eren seems creepily calm, might I add, creepily calm. Totally in the zone, but Porco is very much the hot-headed one in this case. And it's just like, he's acting like Eren acted in season 1. Porco is acting exactly like Eren did in season 1 when Thomas got killed, right? He's just jumping in, lunging at him. And it's curious because back in the battle against the Mideast forces, Porco was pretty reserved and calm and was just very able to work cooperatively, but they had the upper hand, right? They had the upper hand and they knew it. Here, all bets are off, because now that the Colossal Titans entered the picture, now that Eren and all them, now that Peak's gone down as well as Zeke, all bets are off. So Porco's panicking. Which is curious, which also makes me wonder, it ties back to the whole thing about Reiner not being worthy to be a Titan shifter, because Porco gave Reiner 9 kinds of hell back when they were kids about how, like, you're not worthy. What can you do? What can you do that's going to make you the Armored Titan? But honestly, maybe Marcel was onto something. Maybe he was like, maybe Marcel knew that his brother under pressure would panic and would get too hasty and was like, you don't need to do this. And so, Porco is revealing his biggest flaw, that he does, when he panics, he doesn't think and he gets irrational. Because even when Reiner and them were under pressure throughout seasons 1, 2, and 3, even when Reiner was under pressure, he still was able to persevere and maintain some level of calm, right? Especially in season 2. So I feel like Reiner does have an up on Porco in terms of that. Like, Porco's just panicking. And Eren's taking advantage of it. But yeah, that's when Eren notices how tight that jaw is. And I will give the animation from here on in, the animation of Porco and Eren's fight is crazy. Like, him biting, like, right through all the flesh with the jaw, like, just snapping it off and, like, twisting around and twirling on Eren's body, like, to try to like, slice him. It's so well done. Yeah, and just, like, he tries to go after him, and that's when... And Eren used the bulb that Lara was in, and that's when he notices that the claws cut through the Titan skin. And that's when Eren got an idea. An awful idea. Eren got an awful, awful, awful idea to use the jaw as a nutcracker. And yeah, Mikasa... Of course, Mikasa's going to help Eren no matter what. And I like that the skin from the Warhammer is, like, climbed up to become like a tree, and Galliard, like, hops up the tree like a little spider monkey. And then Mikasa makes the comment that he's so fast, Ymir's jaw was nothing like this. So they know what the Titan shifters are called. I'm guessing Eren's told her at this point. Ymir's jaw was nothing like this. And then, yeah, Lara looks down and sees that his slice went through the glass and cut her. And she's like, well, shit, that hurt. And she can't heal herself. And he's like, so this is the jaw's power. And Eren's like, that's when his eyes shift. And it's like, oh, honey. He's like, I see. I was like, oh, no. Because at this point, this is the scary thing. You want Parody to live. You want the Survey Corps to live. And I don't want Eren to die. But then I'm like, I don't want Eren to collect all these Titan shifters because I get bad vibes. So it's problematic. I'm like, I don't want Porco to die, but I don't like Porco's character, but I don't want him to die either. And I don't want Eren to eat him. So it's like, And so then we cut back to Peak and them, and they say it's awful. Her body can't heal fast enough. And she's like, just her whole middle is like, ugh. And then Falco's like, but why? She's a Titan. She has the powers of the Titan. And Gabi says, unlike the armored Titan, the cart isn't known for its toughness. And it looks like Kozlo's protecting them. So the armored Titan has really good healing powers, apparently. Like, really good. Like, the armored Titan can heal that right back up. Because, yeah, he just, as soon as he had the scar on Warrior, he just, zoop, instant heal. But the cart isn't exactly tough like that. So there is a distinction. And that's when Gabi's like, wait, Reiner, where is he? You were with him, Falco, right? And poor Falco's like, about that. And she's like, can't he fight? And Falco's like, I don't know. He's still underground behind the stage. And then this is the point where Falco's like, I don't want to admit that it's my fault. So he tries to diffuse the tension, right? Falco's like, let's just leave Reiner out of it. Let's just not. Reiner's had to suffer a lot because from Falco you totally get it. Falco doesn't want to admit that Reiner, because yeah, like I said a couple episodes ago, Reiner is screwed as far as he doesn't have an alibi. He was down there underground with Falco and Eren. Reiner had the opportunity to get Eren when he had the chance, but instead he sat down and talked to him, and that didn't go over like it should have. So Falco he knows that. Falco's not dumb. He knows that if he says too much, Reiner's going to get in trouble. So and he knows, now Falco knows Reiner's headspace. He knows how delicate Reiner is and how unstable mentally Reiner is. And so Falco doesn't want any more burden added onto it for him. And Gabi's his relative, so he doesn't want her to know. So he just tries to leave him out of it. He's like, let's just not focus on Reiner right now. Let's just leave him out of this whole narrative. And Gabi's like, what the hell are you talking about? What are you saying? And then Gabi ties it to Udo and Sophie and the people. She's like, what about Udo and Sophia? What about all the people Eren Yeager killed? Like, don't they matter? Why shouldn't we be talking about Reiner? We need to go get him to help us in this situation. And Falco doesn't say anything. Falco's like, it's complicated because now, when you go back and rewatch episode 5, anytime that Falco realizes something, it cuts to that lantern right before and the light flickers and gets bigger. And it's almost like Falco's piecing things together. So now Falco by listening to Eren's spiel and seeing Eren and Reiner interact, Falco knows that it's more complicated than that. That it's not just that Udo and Sophia and Eren killed people. There's more to it, and Falco's a kid, so he's like, and he doesn't know the whole context. So Falco's struggling he's like, how do I verbalize it to you, Gabi, in this moment, during this battlefield? He's like, this is not the time or place to talk about it, so I can't really give you an answer. It's complicated, right? Oh my gosh. And then Gabi's like, screw this. I'm going to the window, and the guy tries to keep her, but she wants to see what's going on. And then that's when everybody starts to look. And that's when they notice the airship. Okay. So the airship coming in, this big old airship. Again, how did they get access to the airship? What's going on? And Galliard's like, excuse me, what is this? It's a big old airship. Like the one that came in episode 1. The guide lights. So the airship was always part of the plan. The guide lights were set up to lead them straight to Eren, to lead them to the stage. The lights, because they anticipated this happening at night, so the lights were set up so that the airship could come in. I think it's filled with Titans, is what I think. And it could be filled with bombs. Could be. But I think it's filled with Titans. And so Hanji, as soon as that voice started talking, I was like, oh my God, that's Hanji. Thank goodness. So far, the operation's going as planned. So everything's going according to plan so far. Okay. Anyan Kopon. I'm sure I just said that wrong. But there's Armin. And then, Hanji. Hanji's hair's chopped off too. I like Hanji's glasses have the one thing blacked out. And then we see a guy back there in the back. Interesting. But then we have Armin. Armin's gotten a little bit... Well, but then that makes me question... Maybe that guy that led them all in was not Armin. Because that guy that led Porco and Peak into the room was really tall. And Armin is not really tall. So... maybe it was someone... It had the beard. Maybe it was someone different. What? Okay, so I'm going to write his name down here. Anyan Kopon. Anyan Kopon. So here's another curious thing, and he's Marleyan. We're counting on you. So, okay, this is talking because he's got the Marleyan gear on. So I'm guessing that he's part of... They said that there were people inside Marley, inside the military, that McGath thought were corrupt and were the rats infesting the house. So I'm guessing that Anyan here, the old Anyan, is one of them. That he's one that's decided to work for Parody. Okay. Leave it to me, Hanji. And he knows her on a first name basis. So, curious. Sneak through the zone, low and slow. We'll follow the lights and pick everyone up. Okay. We've only got one shot, so any stragglers are out of luck. Okay, so maybe there's not Titans in there. If we're not shot down first, that's it. Okay, so that's their escape route. Okay. So they commandeered this ship to get back to Parody. And I guess there's not Titans inside of it. I guess it really is that they're just going in to get them. I thought that it'd be like episode 1 and there'd be Titans, then they'd send them down. But again, that would be awfully cruel. That sounds like a Marleyan thing to do, but they're not that cruel, I guess. Right? So they're just going down to pick everybody up and to leave. And that's how they're getting out. That's how they're counteracting Peak's thing of they're trapped there. They're not trapped there. I was wondering a couple episodes ago, I'm like, how do they get out? How are they getting out of here? They're going to get out on the airship. Okay. Gotcha. And then, God, this line, talk about a reckless plan. You get possessed by Erwin or something. So maybe old Beardy was not Armin and it was somebody else working for them. Interesting. That was one of the inside people. But yeah, possessed by Erwin. Well, ties back to season 3 when Hanji told Armin, she's like, now you have to live on with his spirit. And he is. This is a very Erwin plan, yeah. And God, I love Armin's response. I can only hope if it means his strength is with me. It makes me love Armin even more because I'm like, it makes me love Armin even more because I'd come to love Bertolt, who is now within Armin, and I've loved Erwin And now Erwin is within Armin, so it's like I have to love Armin because he has all these spirits with him. God, I love it. So yeah, now that it's come to this, if we can't recover Eren and the others, there's no future for us. So I wondered at the time, like, here's the thing, and we'll talk about this in everybody's notes, but Parody really needs Eren. They may not like what Eren's doing right now, but they need him. They need him because Parody is totally defenseless without Eren. If they don't have, I mean, Armin, yes, Armin has the power of the Colossal Titan, but he's one Titan, right? He's one Titan against the world. You would think that wouldn't be enough, but Eren's striving to prove everybody wrong. But yeah, to Armin, there's no future for us without our friends and our comrades. So if we can't recover Eren and the others, Mikasa and Levi and everybody, then there's no future for us. So I guess there are not Titans in there. I guess I can mark that off. I guess my theory's proven wrong with that. They're just there to pick everyone up. Well, that's nice. That's nice. They're just in there to get out. Cool beans. But we're going to talk about Armin after this because his like mentality through all this. And so yeah, they're coming and everybody's waiting up top to get picked up and they're like, Jean, it's here. And they're like right on time. And then Porco's like, you all ain't escaping on that ship. No. I'm going to go over there and try to stop it. And then that's what Mikasa was waiting for. She was waiting for him to get impatient and to get hasty and to go. And she just chops his legs off with like one swing. You done goofed, Porco. You done goofed. And that look of Eren. Eren as this Titan looks terrifying. Eren in like Attack Titan form is absolutely terrifying. And he just slings Porco around. He spares nothing on Porco. He just tortures him. He rips his arms off like one by one, just like Annie ripping that arm off. Like I got very Annie vibes, like just ripping that arm away, just tearing it all off so he can't escape. And then makes him open that mouth up. Oh, that shot to make him crack it open. And she just looks absolutely terrified. And then this imagery of Eren, like, with his jaw open, like, waiting for it to break is absolutely terrifying. Eren looks like a monster. And yeah, and just the drawn out tension of it slowly cracking and it just using that jaw and just, because technically it's, yeah, and oh God, her face. Like Lara's face, like she just sits there in silence, like, and becomes paler, like realizing what's about to happen. And Galliard tries to tell him to stop and it doesn't work. Nope. And because of Porco, and everybody's just staring on, Mikasa looks unhappy about it, but like, what can I do? And the kids look terrified. And then, yeah, that jaw just snapped. I kept thinking something was going to happen. And I kept thinking, I want to take a picture of that too, because that shot of her is terrifying. I kept thinking something was going to happen and somebody was going to step in and stop him. I thought at this point, Reiner was going to burst out from the ground and stop him. But that's not what happens. No. She just completely gets crushed and Galliard begs and that the eyes glowing green, the Attack Titan, oh nope. And just completely crushes her and he drinks all of it. Oh my God. And that shot of Eren of like it all like entering his bloodstream. Oh my God. Like the eye and everything. Oh. And they're like, what happened? And like the Warhammer was eaten and the Jaw Titan is next. God. And then but here's the thing. I feel like Eren could have just like ripped him open, but he didn't. He's like torturing him, like making him suffer. Ugh. Yeah. Interesting. And then and this is the point where Gabi and Falco start to scream for Reiner, scream for help. It's like Reiner is the hero of Marley. No, Reiner's gonna be the hero. Is Reiner the hero of Marley? Are Gabi and Falco the heroes of Marley? Like, what's going on? Oh, man. And Reiner telling him to shut up. Just let me die. Can you please be quiet? Nope. Mm-mm. Them screaming after him. Oh, my gosh. And Reiner doesn't want to do it. He just wants to die, but he can't because he cares too much for those kids. He cares too much for them. And Peak sitting there staring at him, screaming for help. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And he's like, why won't you guys just let me die in peace? Oh, my God. And then, yeah, Eren's going for it. And that's when I'm like, you couldn't have just done this earlier, Eren. You just had to draw it out, being theatrical. And then, yeah, I love that shot too. Of Eren just looking back, and there's Reiner. And he's got, like, all these different things on him. Like, his armor's, like, popped out in places like crystal. It's not fully in place. This is, like, Reiner's, like, looking like Dolph Lundgren off of Rocky. I feel like it's going to be Rocky versus Dolph. It's going to be, like, Rocky 4. He looks like Dolph Lundgren because he's not fully formed. Like, the armor isn't fully formed around his face. His, like, jaw and everything's messed up, kind of like Eren. And the armor isn't fully on him. It's just, like, splintered off like flowers, like blooms. It's very symbolic, and his hair hasn't fully, like, receded. I don't know if it's a good look on you, Reiner, but it's definitely different. Definitely different. And then that's where we end the episode. So, oh my God. Okay. So the airship is coming to pick everybody up. Eren has ate the Warhammer. So that's not good for Marley. That's all gone. He was about to eat Galliard, but I think they might have saved Galliard. The question is Reiner or Gabi Falco going to become the heroes of Marley? What even that looks like. Because Tiber suggested that they have to have a hero, that Marley needs a hero. And I'm like, well, at the end of this episode, it very much looks like Eren. This episode has made, it's intriguing because this episode and the last episode has made Eren very much look like the bad guy. He looks like the villain, which Eren's like, that's what I am now. I'm the bad guy, right? But you guys are the bad guys to me. But we've gotten this whole this season from Marley's perspective. And from Marley's perspective, Eren is the villain. And he has appeared very villainous the last few episodes, right? He appears like the evil villain, right? Like what I've been expecting is going to happen with Eren this whole time. And so we have that, and he's ate the Warhammer. And so now, but here's the problem. The weird thing about all of this is that Eren does appear to be the villain, right? He just looks very villainous these last two episodes, right? But Armin does not seem villainous. Armin seems like he's just doing this to get Eren back because it's what they need to do. But he clearly feels remorse for what's happening. He feels remorse. Mikasa feels remorse. Jean feels remorse. Sasha and Connie, we don't get too much into their perspective about all of this. But Jean, Mikasa, and Armin definitely are feeling remorse about them having to do this to get Eren back. This whole mission, having to do this mission from the get-go. Like here's the thing. I'm sure they didn't want to have any casualties. But Armin, being the strategist that he is, knows... I mean, goes back to his old phrase, you can't gain anything without losing something, right? He's like, I know that we're going to go into battle with Marley to get Eren back, but we don't have a choice. We have to get Eren back. There's no future for us without Eren. So, yeah, we have to form this plan to get him back. And Armin's no slouch. Armin's like, if we're going to form a plan to get Eren back, it is going to be an elaborate plan, and we've got to make sure that it works and that it's going to be successful. So, he went all out with it, like Armin does, and Hanji helping him too. So I feel like Eren is the one that feels the most villainous in all this from the perspective that we, the audience, have right now of if you sympathize with Reiner and Gabi and Falco, then yeah, Eren looks like the villain. But I still sympathize with Armin, and I still don't feel villainous towards Hanji and the others. They're just trying to get Eren back, and this is what they have to do it. Eren is totally chill with all these civilians and kids dead. He's like, whatever's, I got to get the Hammer Titan. I've got a mission, an objective, and I don't care what happens to everybody else as long as I achieve it. Sort of thing. And then Gabi and Falco, and the way that Gabi and Falco call out at the end of this episode, it makes Reiner feel like the hero, like he showed up to save the day, like Superman just shows up at the end like, I'll fight you, Eren. And I'm like, but Reiner's like half formed and doesn't look like he's got much strength in him. I'm like, but he's doing it to save Gabi and Falco, so... You know, it's the very cliche, like cheering like screaming for help and then our hero showing up. It is very cliche, but it fits Reiner's character perfectly at this point. And it fits Gabi and Falco in the situation, so I'm here for it. I'm totally fine with it. What is weird is now all this makes sense. The thing with Eren, Gabi, Falco, Reiner, Peak and Galliard are out of the picture pretty much. This all makes sense. The part that I'm still like, what the hell, is where did Levi go? Where did Zeke go? These two are gone. Where are they? Because they weren't up on the... Levi was not on the rooftop with Jean and all of them. Everybody else is all gathered to get picked up. Jean and all of them are there. There's no Levi. Levi's not with Mikasa and Eren down below. Not on the ship with Hanji and them that we know of. So where is Levi? Where is Zeke? Suspicious. Suspicious, suspicious, suspicious. Total sus. That's all I'm going to say. It's totally suspicious. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I still don't know what to make of this whole situation, so I figure maybe next episode we'll find out. But it's just, it's being intentionally vague. Like, all this stuff is going on over here, and like Isayama's like, hey, pay attention to the Warhammer. Pay attention to Hanji and Armin. Pay attention to Reiner and Falco and Gabi and all them. Pay attention to what's happening here. Don't worry about Zeke and Reiner. Or Zeke and Levi. Don't worry about them. I'm like, I'm on to you, Isayama. Something's up. Something's up. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. But, okay. I've got some notes to talk about, to tie back in before we round all this up. Oh, my God. So, Eric noted that there was originally in World War II a Madagascar plan. And in the Madagascar plan, the German government was going to deport the Jewish population to Madagascar. And so that's a tie-in to Attack on Titan. If we view the Eldians like the Jewish population or like a marginalized population during a war, pick a war, any will do. But if you're specifically looking at World War II and the Jewish population, then that kind of ties to the whole parody being based off of Madagascar. That's a really cool tie-in. And that the idea, and I like this idea that Eric pointed out too, the idea that maybe there's not just Eldians within parody, because I hadn't really thought about this, but we've established the Ackermans aren't affected by the power of the founding Titan, but they're clearly Eldians, right? Because Kenny was going to turn himself into a Titan. So there's something up with that. I don't want spoilers, so we'll figure it out, I'm sure. But the idea that some of the other nobles could be Marleyans that escaped into the walls. You have the Eastern Clan that y'all have said don't have any Eldian blood. So that's interesting, and that leads me to wonder why they went there in the first place. Unless it was during a Great Titan War. It was during the Great Titan War. People are dying all over the place. Maybe when Karl Fritz was like, I'm going to put myself inside these walls and bar myself off from humanity, maybe the Eastern Clan felt responsible for part of it. And they're like, this is our atonement too. We'll leave with you and go stay within the walls as part of our atonement. Maybe other Marleyan people just wanted to get away from the battle and like, oh, you're going to shield yourself off from all this hell? We'll go with you. Maybe that was it too, and maybe that's how this all got started, the whole nobles and everything, is that they just went with Karl Fritz like, we want to come with you, and Karl's like, okay, but you got to do things on my terms, and they're like, fine, and maybe that's where it all originated from, and the Eastern Clan went with them too, but eventually they broke off, and were targeted just like the Ackermans were. Maybe. I thought that was interesting. But going back to this whole thing about Eren and the fellow Patriot, Eric also pointed out this distinction between Eren and Armin and their goals of peace. And according to Eric and his theory, Eren wants freedom for himself. Armin wants peace out of the sake of the goodness of his heart and for others, right? So Eren wants the cycle of violence to stop, but to what ends is he willing to go to achieve that? So Eren just wants the cycle of violence to stop, but what does he need to do to achieve it? That's the big question. And I don't think a dialogue right now is part of Eren's plan at all. No. My theory is Eren just wants either all of the Eldians to die and for it all to end and there be no Titan powers at all, That, or he just wants to destroy the whole world and everything, and it's like, just let it all burn. If it's the latter, that's a problem. But we'll cross that wall when we get to it, won't we? But that's interesting. I like that you pointed that out. They also made reference, I've seen a Good One TV. I've not watched anything from them because I don't really watch a lot of reactions, honestly. I don't have time. I don't watch a lot of reactions because I just don't have time with recording and researching and everything else. So, but according to a Good One TV, there's apparently a reference that apparently in one of his reviews, they said that the further Eren gets from the walls, the less free that he is. And I love that. Yeah, so he was the most free. If you think about it, Eren was ironically the most free when he was just sitting at that wall back in episode 3 when we showed Bertolt and Reiner talking, and then it transitioned over to the other side of the wall with Eren just sitting there being like, I'm bored. That was ironically the most free he ever was. And then once Armin showed him that book, it's like the apple in the Garden of Eden, right? The Armin's book is like the apple in the Garden of Eden. It's the knowledge that Eren gets that makes him realize that he's not free. And so it's the most ironic thing, because like Nathalie and some others have talked about in the past, that throughout season 3, Eren grew and matured as a character because he gained knowledge. Eren became a more mature character that kind of understood the world better because of all the knowledge he got. But it's a double-edged sword. You get all this knowledge, you learn all these things, it makes you smarter, it makes you more informed, but at the same time, for Eren, learning all that knowledge has made him less free than he was before. He just realizes that there's more and more shackles on him than he has ever wanted. And Eren just wants to be free, and it's like, but how do you get to that point? And I think that Eren's solution is like, well, we'll just kill everybody and then I'll be free. And it's like, So yeah, there's that. There's also a tie-in with Norse mythology and the idea of the 9 Titan shifters, and there are 9 worlds in Norse mythology. And the idea that in Norse mythology, the 9 worlds are connected through like the various points of a tree, which is interesting. It reminds me in the ED here of the light bursting out like a tree behind Ymir Fritz. I'm sure Ymir being a Norse term, a Norse name, I'm sure it's all tied together. Fun times. The parts of Ymir. And then that's what led me to believe, like the parts of the tree all connecting, that's what led me to believe that Eren is trying to collect all the Titan Shifter powers. That he's trying to get the single coordinate, everything tied, all the Horcruxes gathered together again. And then that'll just be the end of it. But I'm like, if Eren dies while he has all of the 9 spirits together, won't they just go back to random Eldians? That's the thing that makes me think that Eren wants to kill all the Eldians. Because if he gathers all, or he's trying to destroy the rest of the world. I guess, yeah, that could be it. Because either one of two things are springing to mind throughout these episodes. Either Eren wants all the Eldians, himself included, to die, or he wants the rest of the world to die. I think it's either one of those two things. Because, and I think it's the latter maybe, because if Eren wanted all the Eldians and himself to die, then is that freedom? Unless Eren inside is so hollow and empty at this point that he doesn't see freedom as a possibility anymore. And so he's like, fine, I'll just end it all. We'll just end all the violence with the Titans, everything. And the only way to do that is, if we want to eradicate all the Eldians and Titans, I need to gather up all the Titan Shifter powers within myself, kill all the other Eldians, and then kill myself, and then the Titan powers will be gone. Maybe. Theoretically. That's the solution. So that's option 1. But that would be under the assumption that Eren has given up on the idea that he wants freedom. That would be assuming that Eren no longer thinks freedom is a possibility, and that's the only way to stop everything. There's that. The other possibility would be that he wants the rest of the world to die, and then it will just be Eldians, and then he'll gather up all the Titan Shifter powers, and then when he dies, either maybe once he dies after he's gathered up all the Eldian powers, maybe the curse will be over, and everything will go back to how it once was. I don't know how this works. I'm assuming we'll find out this season what the whole contract that Ymir made with the devil of all earth is. I don't know why I pointed to Zeke when I did that. But I was thinking of the other side of the board earlier because I had the devil of all earth on this side. But yeah, I'm thinking that if he doesn't want all the rest of the world to die, or he doesn't want all the Eldians and himself to die, that maybe he's come to find out that if he gathers up all the Titan Shifter powers, that it's something to do with the contract that was made with Ymir Fritz will happen, and maybe it will, like, the curse of the Titan Shifters and all that will end. I don't know. But regardless of the end goal, the means that Eren is going about doing it are very concerning to Mikasa and Jean and Armin, because he is not paying attention to who he destroys in the process of this. And that kind of goes back to Flock on the other side of the board. Flock over there, that was like, this is the devil that we need. Someone that's willing to risk anything and everything for the mission. Kind of like what Erwin had been doing. That's what Flock wants. And Eren is just fitting exactly what Flock's looking for. So, interesting. I have a feeling that my thoughts on Eren, by the time we get to recap and do like my theory on Eren 4.0, it's gonna be interesting. But okay, going back to this, Emmanuel 06, the one Garrison, Emmanuel 06 pointed out that way back in season 1, I kept getting, I think it's Wehrman, I kept getting his name wrong, and I kept calling him Warhammer. I kept calling him Warhammer, and several people pointed out, they're like, why are you calling him Warhammer? That's not his name. And Emmanuel 06 points out that it was almost like foreshadowing. The one guy that was against Eren and Armin back in episodes 9 and 10 of season 1, I nicknamed Warhammer, and then in this episode, the Warhammer was Eren's enemy. So my brain, all the coordinates were connecting, all the paths were aligning, and I was not realizing that I was seeing into the future. Who knew? J Romero 9795 talked about, and this is really cool, the difference in the reception of the Warriors returning versus the reception that happens with the Survey Corps returning. And I think that all it ties into is, it's not the fact that it's the Warriors versus the Survey Corps, it's really the fact of victory versus defeat. Because then something else was pointed out too in his comment. You have, when the Warriors come back from fighting the Mideast forces, it was a successful mission. So everybody was cheering them, everybody was celebrating, the family was so happy they were there. And then in the past, in parody, we've had the Survey Corps coming back from all these missions and being met with resentment, with questions, with doubt. But that's because they had been defeated, right? They had failed the mission. But then at the end of season 3, when they come back and have successfully reclaimed Wall Maria, everybody's happy. And it's a big celebration, right? Kind of like what it is for the Warriors when they come back from defeating the Allied forces in episode 1. So it's really a commentary, not necessarily on the Warriors' reception versus parody's, the Survey Corps reception. It's really a commentary on the reception when you have victory versus the reception when you have defeat. And they're two very different things. And that's so true to life. You think of the reception of the victors in war versus the reception of those that are the losers in war. It's a nice callback to that and reference to that. And that was really cool, Romero. I'm glad you pointed that out. Mark Luzon pointed out that in episode 2, when you see Reiner reaching out saying, wait to the kids, they're shrouded in darkness. And in the darkness for a moment, he sees all of his former comrades that have either died or are going to die. And then it comes back to the light and he sees those kids. So literally the kids are Reiner's only light in the darkness. They are the only thing keeping him going. As we've seen in this episode, Gabi and Falco are the only things keeping Reiner afloat at this point. And Zofia and Udo are gone. So Reiner's happiness, his whole purpose in life, has shrank by half. It's literally down to those two. And if something happens to Gabi and Falco, then Reiner's just done. So I don't want anything to happen to Gabi and Falco. I don't want anything to happen to them. But at this point, who knows? Him eating the Warhammer, all bets are off. Because I'm like, I honestly did not see Eren eating the Warhammer this episode. I thought that they were going to get away with her. I thought they were going to escape and that there was going to be like a counterattack planned, but no. Nope, he got the Warhammer. I'm like, Zeke, did you predict this? Suspicious. That's all I can say. Live Like Hell talked about how Armin's worst trait Somebody commented about Armin's worst trait, and Live Like Hell commented that Armin's worst trait is that he is so willing to sacrifice himself. And I printed out a list of your comments because it was all these points. I was like, Armin has sacrificed himself many times in this series, more times than I really thought originally. In episode 7 of season 1, Armin gave his gas to Mikasa so that she could lead the others, accepting his death, and he wanted to kill himself with the small blade. That was one. In episode 8, the next episode, he was used as bait in the elevator scene that we saw in the OP. Forgot about that. Yep. In episode 17 of season 1, he was the decoy so that Jean and Reiner could slow down the female Titan. Okay. Episode 18, he was injured and volunteered to be left behind since there was only one horse. In 23, he speaks to Annie one-on-one. Annie New puts on the ring and spared Armin a second time. In episode 24, he runs to the other side of the tunnel as bait to distract Annie. In season 2, episode 11, he literally dived into a Titan onslaught to distract Reiner and Bertolt through manipulation. In episode 12 of season 2, he jumped off of his horse to save Jean while waving his sword to a Titan. In season 1, episode 3, he disguised as Historia to go into enemy lines. In season 3, episode 3, he was bait for Marlowe and Hitch. In episode 15 of season 3, he spoke to Bertolt and was used as bait to surround Bertolt. In episode 17, he was literally burnt to death. In episode 19, he asked why revive him and that Erwin was the better choice. And in episode 22 of season 3, he admits to Flock that Erwin would have been better. So there's been 14 occasions where Armin has been like, I should have died, and I was willing to sacrifice myself. And then Live Like Hell says, the boy sacrificed himself more than anyone. Without context, it looks like borderline suicide. And then it's funny because Eren is the one who gets nicknamed the suicidal maniac, when really, it's been Armin. Yeah, Armin is the self-sacrificing one. And the thing of it is, Eren does not want to die. Eren, he's like, it's my birthright to be able to live and to be free. So Eren does not want to die. Eren, it's funny, Eren is not really self-sacrificing. It's funny that that's pointed out. Armin has been self-sacrificing this whole series. And it's funny that he, like, almost as a reward, I guess, for being selfless, he gets the power of, like, one of the strongest Titans in the whole series. But Eren, on the other hand, Eren's not really self-sacrificing. Like, Eren has been leaderly and Eren's been brave, but self-sacrificing, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. He wants to live. Eren does not want to, he's not willing to sacrifice himself. He wants to live and be free. So that's curious. It's a very curious comparison that I'm glad you pointed that out, Live Like Hell. It's very interesting. And it kind of ties Reiner to Eren too, because they both of them want to keep on moving forward, right? Interesting. Sacha Purvis noted that Hizuru means rising sun, which ties to the Eastern Clan, ties to Japan, interestingly enough. And then Nijay points out about how Eren's actor face has really improved since season 2. Yeah, right? That made me crack up. I was like, yeah, Eren couldn't act to save his life back when he was 15, but now he's had a good 4 years to practice. He's gotten really good at it. So yeah. And then CW also noted that we're finally getting romance, not only with Porco and Peak, but also with Gabi and Falco, because Gabi, as CW notes, is unfortunately our dense shonen protagonist. Gabi doesn't get it, but Falco does. Falco knows his feelings towards Gabi. He's attracted to Gabi, and he knows it. But Gabi's just too dense to realize. So yeah, So where do we go to next episode? Well, like I said, Zeke and Levi are oddly suspicious. Something's going on there. I'm going to put it in the back of my mind for now, because Levi being absent, as soon as he pulls the grenade on the Beast Titan and there was that big thing of smoke and them disappearing, sus. I feel like Levi, there's something going on with him. There's something going on with Zeke. Something big's going on with Zeke. And I feel like it's going to come out in the wash later, so we'll find that out when we do. But this has me curious. The airship's shown up to pick everybody up. Now the question is, since Reiner has showed up, what is going to... I'm guessing... My guess is that Reiner is going to save Porco, which... Funny that, because Porco's given Reiner 9 kinds of hell. 9 kinds, right? He's given him 9 kinds of hell. And so I think Reiner's going to save Porco and save Peak, and they're going to get out of there. the question is, I think everybody's going to escape, right? I think they're going to escape. The question is, are they going to take Zeke captive? Did Levi take Zeke captive as a prisoner, and they're going to take Zeke with him because Eren needs Zeke? And that'll give Zeke and Eren a chance to talk? I don't know. I feel like that's going to be the case. And then what are Gabi and Falco going to do? And what's McGath going to do? That's the case too. But, oh, y'all. I say that I need to take some days off, but I think by tomorrow night I'm going to have to watch episode 8. I think I'm going to have to. I don't think I'll have a choice. I think I'm going to need to watch it because waiting is hard. And episodes 4, 5, and 6, I watched them within 5 days and it was too much. My brain was like, you need a break. But after this episode, I don't feel overwhelmed. I'm very curious, but I don't feel overwhelmed like I have been in the prior episodes. So I think I'll be ready to watch episode 8 tomorrow and just see what's going to happen. But by that point, I'll probably have all your comments from episode 5 on Patreon and episode 3 on YouTube. I'll have all your comments for that. So we shall see. But oh my God, y'all. This was a great episode. Reiner coming in. I want to see Reiner's reaction to the Colossal Titan, but he's not going to get to see it. So, But in any case, I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers, but I'm curious to know what y'all thought. And then, yeah, I'll come back. Whiteboard-kun will be primed and ready, and we'll talk about episode 8 when we get to it. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with the next episode of Season 4 of Attack on Titan. Bye.